Piper, Chesley.
Yes, thank you. That it, City Attorney? All right, moving on to my section, fair section. Lost my paper here. The item 1 is the appointment of a person to the Rend Conservancy District. Before I do that, I'd like to make a comment here. Before I seek council's approval or non-approval of this appointment, I'd like to make a few comments, followed by any comments from the audience, followed by any comments from council. The man who has been serving as Mount Vernon's representative on this board is James Rippy. He was appointed in 2006 and reappointed in 2011, making a total of 10 years of service on this board, 2 terms. I feel that the Rend Lake Conservancy Board is one of the hardest boards on which to serve for 2 major reasons. One, in 2004, Rend Lake Conservancy District received a state management program audit that listed 15 deficiencies that the district had to correct and continue to follow. And the second reason, the fact that Mount Vernon, Jefferson County has a minority vote count on the board, despite the fact that we are the largest water user for the district. Jim stepped forward to meet many challenges of this board and to be sure that these 2 major reasons for the audit and for the vote will continue to be brought up to the public. His attachment to Mount Vernon began long ago with General Tire, where he served as a general manager. Because of his determination and his business skills, General Tire developed strong roots as a manufacturing business in this community and in Jefferson County and in the region. General Tire, now Continental Tire, utilized these strong roots to grow into a leading manufacturing company for this region and one of the largest in the state of Illinois. Thank you, James Rippy, for that. During his 10 years on the Rend Lake Board, Jim was a consistent advocate for low taxes and water rates, and he continually sought ways for Mount Vernon to have more voting powers on the board. As I said previously, in 2004, the district received a management program audit report from the state. The report concluded that Rend Lake Conservancy District had, quote, significant deficiencies in virtually all aspects of its management, unquote. Included in the report were recommendations for ways to improve these deficits. Jim came on board shortly after that for his first term, and he remained an avid watchdog in seeing that these recommendations continued to be followed. Thank you, James Rippy, for this. I most sincerely thank you for your time, the dedication, the persistence that you have shown in representing the interest of Mount Vernon in your 10 years on the Rend Lake Conservancy Board. Thank you. At this time, do we have any public comments? Please step forward and state your name.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Michael Bullard. I live at 106 Woodworth Drive, Blueford, Illinois. I'm here tonight, as are many, confused and angry and outraged at the plan to move to replace Mr. Rippy as Mount Vernon's representative on the Rend Lake Conservancy District's board. Planned because I'm convinced that this removal is one small piece in a larger puzzle. A puzzle with one objective: selling the city's utility system. By hand selecting a representative, the Conservancy would easily get the idea our area supported selling the largest public asset. To me, this is quite evident. This is part of a plan to sell the utility systems. We all know Mr. Rippy has been very passionate and tenacious advocate for the citizens of Mount Vernon and Jefferson County. He has never, ever hesitated addressing any board or council on issues involving the citizens, and never spared any words of appreciation or words of displeasure, whatever the case may be. He always spoke the truth and spoke for your voters. I'd like to turn around now and ask the people in the audience to raise their hand if they supported Mr. Rippy's replacement. Support his replacement. 3. Today, you, the City Council, are faced with your voters who clearly do not support the position to replace Mr. Rippy. Let there be no question. As the mayor and the council members, your decision to replace Mr. Rippy does not represent the will of those who elected you, and your continued action to replace Mr. Rippy directly violates your commitment and promise to support your voters. The only rationale that I've been able to find out to replace Mr. Rippy was that we needed new blood. Frankly, I believe that comment is a lie. I also believe it is absolutely contemptible for a public body to insult voters using the new blood phrase to hide the true motive for such devious agenda. During World War II, Montgomery was making a slow but steady progress through the eastern part of France, and Hitler made a surprise attack through the Ardennes forest, surrounding the city of Bastogne. Thousands of Allied troops were surrounded as the Bulge threatened to turn the tide of the war against the Allies. In that darkest hour, Eisenhower did not go in search of new blood. He looked to the biggest pain in his backside, his best general, and he took the advice of General George Patton. The rest of that's history. But my point here is James B. Rippy is our George Patton. Through his accomplishments, he's earned our trust and proven over and over again he's the only person with the ability, the passion, and the tenacity to protect our future. I'm going to close by telling those here in attendance and the good citizens of Jefferson County, in my opinion, if this council pursues the replacement of Mr. Rippy, there's no possible viable reason other than to sell the public utility system. Council's action on this issue is literally the litmus test for their honesty to the voters who elected them. If council does not reinstate Mr. Rippy to the Conservancy Board, I believe it is proof positive that the council has every intention to sell their utility system to a for-profit corporation, and with it, the future of the city of Mount Vernon and the outlying communities in Jefferson County. I haven't prepared this, but I read your agenda, and I understand from that you intend to appoint Nicholas LeMay. Nicholas is a good man. I know him and I respect him. In my comments, I don't have any intentions to reflect on Nicholas whatsoever. But I think that we owe it to the citizens of this area to let Mr. Rippy continue his valiant effort at what he's done so far, and I think he has to offer in the future. So, thank you for the opportunity to speak.
All right, who else wishes to step forward? make comments, please do so and state your name.
Madam Mayor, my name is Jerry Shaw. I want to talk about the man, Jim Rippy, that Mike just talked about. I want to tell you two stories about Jim Rippy. And then I want to make a few comments about that and ask a few questions. The first story, pardon me, we needed to build a new water plant down there, and the estimated cost was about $25 million just for that water plant. Now, we had $15 million in the bank, okay? But the Franklin County members of the board and the management down there learned that the state was willing to give, or willing to loan, a low-interest loan of $13 million. Not because we needed the money, not at all, but the board wanted to accept the $13 million, as I say, not because we needed it, because it was there. And their whole idea was, this is a low-interest loan, and if we take this loan out, then we can put this money in the bank and make a little money off of it. You know, well, Jim was outraged with that. He thought that was unethical. And he talked to me about it, and so did I. Well, fortunately, maybe I shouldn't say fortunately, but the interest rates went down. And so there was no reason then to borrow the $13 million. So the management down there said, well, we need to borrow at least $8 million. Rippy put his pencil to it, and he came to me and he said, Jerry, he said, we don't need $8 million to build this water plant. And he was looking at things like future labor costs, materials, and that kind of thing. And he was also looking at the revenue stream that we were going to get, about $3 million a year. He said, Jerry, the way I see it, we don't need but about $5 million to build this, expand this water plant. So we had a big argument down there. You may have been down there a decent time, I don't know. But we had a big argument down there. And finally we agreed, well, we'll borrow $8 million, even though we didn't need it. We reach a compromise, we'll borrow $8 million. Let me tell you this, at the end of the day, all it cost us was $5 million, the exact amount that Rippy had said to me 2 years earlier. And we paid that off in 2 years because we were making $3 million a year. But that man knows finance. He knows finance. Let me tell you one other story. He was the general manager out here for Continental Tire, for General Tire first and then Continental Tire. When Continental Tire bought General Tire had shipped Rippy to some other plant, not in the tire industry, but they had several divisions, making other car parts and that kind of thing. There was some problems there, so they shipped Jim to straighten out those problems. Continental Tire, then they entered into, they were going to buy, Continental Tire was going to buy General Tire. When Continental Tire found out that Rippy wasn't going to be a part of the sale, they were reluctant. And do you know this, Dennis, this story, the way you're shaking? They were reluctant to make the deal go through. General Tire had to go back and transfer Jim back to the plant here so that they could have Jim. So Jim wasn't there too long. The chairman of the board, Continental Tire in Germany, called Jim to Germany. Said, Jim, we're going to expand and build some more tire plants in North America. Now we had tire plants. We had, I think, 1 in Canada, 4 in the United States, and 2 in Mexico. And he said, we're going to commit almost $1 billion to do this. Jim, we want you to be in charge of this. We've got faith in you that you can do it. So Jim did it, and he put a team together of accountants and engineers, and he spent close to $1 billion. Okay? Not quite, but close. I think it was around $780 million or something like that. He was sure to take care of Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon was his baby. He came to Mount Vernon, and they entered into a joint agreement with Japanese tire firm to build a truck edition. Jim managed that along with some other projects, these other plants, but he spent the $780 million. And every project was on time and on budget. That tells you something about that man. It tells you something about him. And I'm very upset. I'm disappointed that you're not replacing him on that Rend Lake Conservancy District Board. I served with Jim Rippy for 2 years, and I know what that man is all about, and I know what he can do. He got my attention when he started talking. Now, they didn't like it in Franklin County, but he did get my attention. He served the citizens of this county, or this city, very well, and he should have been reappointed. It's no way for you to treat a man that's done that kind of thing. He's created more jobs than any of you, all of you together. He's created more jobs for this county. He started out, we came here, we had about 350 people. It went up to 1,500, and then it went up to 2,400, and now 3,400. Now, the last 1,000 he wasn't responsible for because he wasn't here. But he increased the production. He made that plant the most productive tire plant in the United States, or in North America. That's saying a lot for that man. That man has some skill. He knows his finances, and he knows management. And he held their feet to the fire down there. Tried to with me on the board backing him, and with Jim Dolick, who was on there for a while. A couple of other board members. Buddy Allen was there for the first year or so. By the way, he came in 2005 and not 2006, okay? 2005, we were both appointed that board, July of 2005. He didn't get a 5-year term. We drew straws. I happened to get a 5-year term, okay? He didn't get a 5-year term. I think his was 4 or 3, something like that. But anyway, that's why he's been on that board a year more than I have, because I got the 2, but he got the 4-year term, and then he got a couple of other appointments, and that's why his term is up. But I want to say to you, I think you're very ungrateful to that man. What in the world were you thinking to not reappoint him? As many times as he's come to you and told you what was going on down there, and told you about the things that they were trying to do. They were trying to use water revenues to support recreation, and you sat there and shook your head yes, and then you turn around and stab him in the back. What in the world were you thinking? You know, I've got a question. I've got a few questions I want to ask. Maybe I want to ask if I can read them. I want to know what you were thinking. How did you, each of you, come to the conclusion that you should not reappoint Jim Rippy? Why did you do that? You got an answer for me?
I tell you what, on the comment section, after you get done and after the other comments have been made, we will go to our section for comments.
You'll go to what?
We'll go to our portion. I said earlier that we would have, I made some comments. I'm allowing the audience to make comments.
But you want to ask questions. You want to answer questions is what you're telling me, or what?
We may during the comments.
Okay. I want to know who came up with this idea. And I want to know what role you played, Madam Mayor, in this. And Marilyn Bechtel, I want to know what role you played in this. I want to know why you called the general manager. I want to know whose idea it was to call the general manager and the attorney up to Mount Vernon to visit with a couple of council members without even asking Jim Rippy to be there, your representative. Why did you do that?
Jim had already spoke to the council.
No. He didn't speak to 2 members. He didn't speak to Dante and Jeff May. Well, I want to know why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I asked if they wanted.
Whose idea was it? Did you? Okay, yeah, I will. I'm sorry.
Jim had presented information to the council. We had several emails from him for information. He had spoken to them. He had given his side. And I asked if he wanted to hear the other side.
Why would you have a private meeting? Jim, he didn't come to the private meeting. He came to the council. Why would you come? Why would you do this? You know, he represented our city. Is it because of inexperience on your part?
You could chalk it up for that if you want to.
Well,
it happened.
Yeah, okay.
And it can't be undone. And Keith came without an attorney. There was not an attorney present. And it was just Keith and 2 councilors.
Well, whose idea? Why? What was the purpose? Why wouldn't you invite Jim? What was the purpose of that meeting?
Sir, go ahead.
I was at that meeting.
Yeah, I know you were.
if it wasn't for her, who actually said, hey, do you want to hear both sides of this? I wouldn't have had the information that I had about the RFP.
So you can make the decision to get rid of Jim Rippy, is that
Go
right?
ahead,
Oh,
sir, please.
absolutely not.
Well, I'm passionate about this, Mayor.
Absolutely.
You know I am.
I
But-
know you are.
But if you
You've
give
done,
me
you've
one
done a
second,
disservice to a man in this community who has done a lot for this community.
Please.
Mr. Shaw, 1 second. Without that information that I got from that meeting, and after talking to Councilman May about some of the ideas I had from that meeting, I wouldn't have had an understanding about everything.
Well, I don't think you have much of an understanding about it now, to be honest with you, Dante.
Okay, move on, sir.
Well, let me conclude. I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame what you did with it. Is it any wonder that the city of Marion outshines Mount Vernon so much? They've got things going on down there. Why don't we have those things going on up here? We should. And if we had a city council and a mayor who knew what they were doing, we could have. You know, that was a harebrained idea that you came up with to get Jim Rippy. I will admit, Mayor, we do need a cheerleader sitting in your chair, but we also need a person who understands management and who understands finances. Okay?
Thank you.
I'm not through yet. I want to make one more comment. Ernie Collins said it best when he said, the Mount Vernon City Council did in one stroke what the Franklin County politicians couldn't do in 10 years, and you did it to him. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to step forward and state your name and express your concerns, sir?
My name's Ray Botch, and I used to be city manager here from 1970 to 84. In fact, I was city manager when we went online with Rend Lake and got away from us producing the water from JC and Miller Lake. I, too, stand with these other two gentlemen. We have expertise. A wise man once said, surround yourself with expertise and they will make you look good. And I think Jim Rippy has done that for the city. I was also here when General Tire came. In fact, I was one of the 5 members of the steering committee and am the only living member now that was on a steering committee to bring General Tire to Mount Vernon. Mr. Rippy has done an awful lot for this community. He's a community leader. I know, Mary Jane, you have used him for a lot of information and used his expertise. He, to me, kind of reminds me of someone you know, Mary Jane, very well, Minor Pace, who you think the world of and who was your mentor. Now, would you have the guts to tell Minor Pace that you need new blood? I don't think so. But you have the decision to make. It is yours to make alone. And one other thing. New blood, is that the whole thing? No expertise, just new blood. Well, by your philosophy then, does that mean you and Dennis are not going to seek re-election because we need new blood on our city council and mayor? I would hope so, because you certainly haven't helped the city on many of the things. Look at the condition of the water system. It has been neglected for years now. You are not all the blame for it, but it's certainly been neglected and nothing done to it. Very little done to it. We have 3 water storage tanks that haven't been repaired. What happens if one of them goes down? Do you tap into the Aqua Center and use their water out of the pool? I think not, but I have the greatest respect for Jim Rippy. He and I are not friends by any stretch of the imagination. We barely speak. But I think when you have good people who are experts, you use them. You get on them and ride them like a pony until they can't run anymore. And that's what this city should do with Jim Rippy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to step forward? Please do so. State your name. Okay. If not, we'll continue with the item there, and 10A. Nicholas LeMay, he was born in Mount Vernon, raised in Mount Vernon, graduated from the high school here, Rend Lake College. He got a Bachelor's of Science degree from Southern Illinois University, cum laude. He has worked for Withers Broadcasting as a news director and a regional director of news operations for 8 years. In 2007, he was hired by Rend Lake College to serve as the assistant director for the Small Business Development Center, and where he worked to get over 1,000 Southern Illinois small business owners up and going in the past 6 years. I had a long interview with him. He's very excited about taking this position. He is looking forward to it. So, gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to request, with your advice and consent, to approve Nicholas LeMay to the Rend Lake Conservancy District Board. Do you have any comments to make?
Mayor, before I make a motion in my feelings, I'd like to my appreciation for Jim Rippy. I've known Jim for quite some time. I used to live next door to him. He'd call me at 4:30 in the morning, waking me up for a blip on General Tire. And I've learned to respect his judgment and appreciate all he has done for our city. I also appreciate his diligence to keeping our taxes and our rates as low as possible. The time he spent as a board member for the Conservancy District. I know that he had Mount Vernon at his heart, and it still does, as far as I'm concerned. And in addition to all what has been said on his behalf, I feel that strong also. And I'd like to personally thank now publicly Jim for his service and dedication to the city, serving as our ambassador on the Rend Lake College, Rend Lake Conservancy District Board.
All right. Anything else before we?
I just want to say tenacity, leadership, those are all qualities when it comes to the military. Mr. Rippy showed those things. But like in the military, even our best generals, sooner or later, have got to pass the baton. I think that we have someone who is cut from the exact same cloth as Mr. Rippy. Mr. Bullard already said that we have a man who is honest, who is fair, and I think that will also be able to hold the Rend Lake Conservancy District to a standard that Mr. Rippy has already established. Like I said before, I think Mr. Rippy is an outstanding leader. I think he did a great job of keeping the city informed, and I appreciate everything he did.
Thank you. Any other comments, Joe? If not, what is your pleasure?
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the nomination for Nicholas LeMay for the Rend City Board.
All right, motion has been made to approve Nicholas LeMay to the appointment to the Rend Lake Conservancy District Board. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been seconded. Further comments? If not, please call the roll.
May, McEnany?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Piper? Chesley?
Yes, thank you. Moving on to item number 11, City Council section. Anything?
Got one thing. On July 25th is when we're going to have our meeting for our community watch. It will be here at the Roland Lewis building at 6 o'clock. So if anybody's interested in coming and listen, Ms. Span's going to be helping out with this one. If you have any questions about the community watch whatsoever, it'll be here on July 25th at 6 p.m.
Good. Want to mention anything about the workshop on the 25th?
Oh, also at the workshop at 4 o'clock, this will be discussing all the leftover bond money that we have and how we're going to reprioritize that bond money. The workshop's at the City Hall, and it's at 4 o'clock, and I would advise anybody who can get there to get there, so you can hear how this money is going to be, decisions on this money and which way it's going to go and things like that.
Very good. Any other comments from council? If not, we'll move on to item number 12. If anybody in the audience wishes to address council, please stand up, go to the microphone and state your name and your concern.
Again, my name is Jerry Shaw. I asked several questions. I didn't get an answer to any of them. talk all about your appreciation for Jim Rippy and his service, Dante, but it's just a bunch of hot air. You know, it's just a bunch of hot air. You talk about, I'm not Nicholas LeMay is a good man, good man. I think it was Mary Jane that told somebody that we needed somebody with some engineering experience, and we needed somebody with maybe an attorney on that board. He's none of those, okay? He's none of those. You know, for you to say he's cut out of the same cloth is BS. You know, and I don't have anything against Nicholas LeMay. And he may end up being a good board member after years of learning what's going on down there. I don't know. But we can't wait, because that district is going back just the way it was before 2004, and it's going back very quickly with the members of the Franklin County Board. We need Jim Rippy there to at least hold it back somewhat. Now, as I said, I didn't get any answers to any of the questions. I want to ask again those questions. You said I could ask the questions, Mary Jane, during this.
You asked questions during your section.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't get an answer.
And then I said
Did you
council
choose
could
not?
answer those questions in their section.
Oh, yeah, maybe you did. I stand corrected there. I thought I was going to get to ask the questions again. But the fact, let the record show that you did not answer one question that I asked, including you, Mary Ellen, the city manager. Okay? And that's not the way government should operate. You need to be open and transparent so that people know what goes on. You don't need to be conducting business behind closed doors, and that's exactly what you did when you made this appointment. You didn't have any kind of a public hearing. You didn't ask anybody about it. You didn't tell that you were going to do it until the last minute. That's not the way city government should operate. Thank you.
This doesn't have to do with Mr. Rippy. I'm requesting, and I need to find out from the city attorney how I go about this, that all meetings of the city council, workshop and everything, be at 7 p.m. in this building. One of the things, Dante, you ran on was bringing the board or the city council out into the sunlight. You people are operating in the shade. You have meetings at 4 o'clock on Friday at City Hall or another day at City Hall, and people aren't available. If we had them at 7 o'clock all the time, the people would know that they can be there. And there were many things that have been discussed that have been very controversial that have been done at workshop meetings. And Mr. Attorney, is there anything that I need to do to make this request? Okay. Well, I know nothing will be done then.
Anyone else wish to step forward?